Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to our 6 p.m. edition of Arirang News. It's Memorial Day, June 6th here in Korea. I'm Song Yujin in Seoul. We begin at this hour at the domestic front. Today, President Lee Jae-myung marked his first Memorial Day ceremony as president at Seoul National Cemetery to honor those who sacrificed for the country. The president highlighted domestic stability rather than sending a message to North Korea, as previous presidents have done. Our Oh Soo-young starts us off.
President Lee Jae-myung called for a peaceful nation free from war as he observed South Korea's 70th Memorial Day, a day to honor those who died in their service for the nation's freedom and democracy. On Friday, Lee marked his first Memorial Day ceremony as president at Seoul National Cemetery, attended by over 4,000 people, including those merited for their service to the nation and bereaved families, along with senior government officials and members of the public. In his speech, Lee commemorated those who fought for the nation, independence, and freedom and democracy against dictatorship throughout modern history. He called to build a Korea where, quote, democracy and prosperity can bloom on solid foundations of peace.
전쟁 걱정 없는 평화로운 나라, 일상이 흔들리지 않는 안전한 나라를 만드는 것이야말로 그 거룩한 희생과 헌신에 대한 가장 책임 있는 응답일 것입니다.
Amid speculation of a possible message regarding North Korea or inter-Korean relations, Lee did not once mention the North, which had invaded South Korea in 1950, aided by Chinese forces, leading to the outbreak of the Korean War. The president also did not directly name the Korean War in his speech. Past conservative presidents have usually issued a message of deterrence against Pyongyang's security threat to Seoul, while progressive leaders had tended to issue a more dovish stance. However, Lee seemed focused on creating domestic peace and stability amid political polarization and economic hardships. Looking forward, Lee pledged further support for veterans, including an improved medical care system. He also called for greater appreciation for those in uniform, including soldiers, police, and firefighters. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
And President Lee Jae-myung has appointed top policy and economic aides to put his emergency economic recovery agenda into action. On Friday, Chief of Staff Kang Hoon-sik said Kim Yong-bum will be the presidential chief of policy. Kim is a former senior economist at the World Bank and was the first deputy finance minister. Ha Chun-kyung, an economics professor at Hanyang University, was named senior secretary for economic growth. Ryu Deok-hyun, a professor at Chungang University, was appointed to a newly created position of fiscal policy advisor. Now, Moon Jin-young of Seogang University is senior secretary for social affairs. Lee's office also announced on the same day major organizational changes. A National Affairs Control Office will be established, and crisis management will be under the responsibility of the National Security Advisor. One senior secretary for AI and future strategy will lead growth strategies and long-term national initiatives addressing emerging challenges in high-tech innovation, population decline, and climate change. In other news, the United States has once again placed South Korea on its monitoring list for foreign exchange practices. In its latest semi-annual report released Thursday, the U.S. Treasury Department cited South Korea's large bilateral trade surplus and current account surplus as key reasons, the same criteria that brought the country back onto the list last November. Now, in response, the Finance Ministry said it will maintain close communication with the Treasury Department to strengthen mutual understanding and trust in currency policy. The ministry also noted that ongoing consultations between the two governments on foreign exchange matters will continue with careful coordination. Turning to other news, there are signs of easing trade tensions between the United States and China. The leaders of the world's two superpowers held a phone call on Thursday, the first since President Donald Trump took office back in January. Now, President Trump described the conversation as, quote, positive. Our Park Gun-woo has more.
Expectations are growing for renewed trade talks between the U.S. and China following months of tensions. That comes after U.S. President Donald Trump said he held a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday, his first since returning to the Oval Office. Trump described the 90-minute call as a very good talk, saying the main focus was on trade with positive outcomes.
We had a very good talk, and we've straightened out any complexity. We're in very good shape with China and the trade deal. We have a deal with China, as you know, but we were straightening out some of the points, having to do mostly with rare earth, magnets.
After the call, Trump posted on social media that follow-up talks would be arranged soon, involving Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. He also said that he has accepted an invitation from Beijing to visit China with the First Lady. Trump said he also invited Xi to the U.S., expressing hope that such a visit would take place. China's state media outlet Xinhua also confirmed the conversation, saying it was requested by the White House. It reported that Xi had requested Washington to remove negative measures against Beijing, to stick to the recent agreement made in Geneva. Xinhua also reported China's message to the U.S. to handle Taiwan with prudence, to avoid being dragged into a dangerous situation of conflict by Taiwan independent separatists. The report also said Trump expressed a welcoming stance toward Chinese students willing to study in the U.S., signaling a policy change. Park Ko-nu, Arirang News.
Staying in the United States, a federal judge has issued a temporary restraining order against U.S. President Donald Trump's recent proclamation aimed at blocking foreign nationals arriving in the U.S. or obtaining visas to attend Harvard University. That comes after Harvard filed an amended lawsuit and requested an immediate halt to Trump's move from the day before. U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs in Massachusetts said the order was necessary due to insufficient time to hear from all parties before, quote, immediate and irreparable harm could appear. A hearing on the case is scheduled for June 16th. Ending off with sports, South Korea has officially clinched a spot at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, marking its 11th consecutive World Cup appearance. The Taeguk Warriors achieved this milestone with a 2-0 away victory over Iraq in Basra on Thursday local time during their Group B match in the third round of Asian qualifiers. Now, with this win, South Korea will surely finish at least second in the group, securing one of the 2 automatic qualification spots for the World Cup. The men's national football team will play its final qualifying match against Kuwait next Tuesday in Seoul. And that's all we have for our 6 p.m. edition of Arirang News on this Memorial Day. Thank you for staying with us. And Arirang News will be back on Monday with New Day at Arirang at 10 a.m. Korea time. Hope you have a nice weekend.